Well, good morning. Welcome to Living Beyond Limits. I think you all know I'm Reverend Jennifer Spear. We are a part of Centers for Spiritual Living. Welcome to our service this morning, and for those of you who are joining us online, welcome also. And so let's start this service by reading our mission statement that's on the front of your bulletin. We are a sanctuary where people can discover and reveal the presence of God within their own being and experience their oneness with all life. Through the realization of this inner presence of love and peace, we give way to the evolutionary impulse of the divine and become a beneficial presence in the world. So that's exactly what we're doing here at Living Beyond Limits, is we're giving ourselves the opportunity through the music and through the readings and through the message and all of that to remember, yes, indeed, that we are at our essence spiritual beings. That one presence, that one power, that one life, that one beingness expresses itself in and through everything. And that presence also expresses itself in and through us. That it is our essence as spiritual beings. And what happens is, as we recognize that one presence and power, that is the very essence of that presence is wholeness and peace and power and love and beauty and joy, that means all of those qualities and characteristics are innate to our own beingness. That means then we can never, ever be separate or apart from those qualities and characteristics. So when the world is not reflecting back to us love or peace or generosity or kindness, of course we would prefer that, but we aren't reliant on that in order to experience that. We can bring peace or love or kindness or generosity into the world. We can stand in our wholeness when people are telling us that we are something other than that. And as we do that, it puts us in a place of choice, and it puts us in a place of power, and it enables us to be a healing presence in this world, because we can bring that to life, that the world is calling for. And so I thank each and every single one of you for answering this call of your own spirit to be walking this path, to be bringing your light into this world in the unique way that only you can. Thank you for that. So happy Veterans Day. You all know that tomorrow is Veterans Day. Did you know that Veterans Day is observed? He wants this down, and he wants this on. It's Tuesday. Veterans Day is Tuesday, November 11th. I did not know this. Did you know that? It commemorates the end of the fighting of World War I in 1918. I had no idea. This day reminds us that peace is not accidental. It is protected, nurtured, and sometimes paid for in ways unseen. Veterans embody a devotion to something larger than self, a sacred offering of presence, resilience, and love of country and community. And in turn, we are invited to ask, how do I serve? Not all guardians of peace stand on battlefields. Some stand in homes, workplaces, neighborhoods, choosing compassion over division, understanding over fear, and service over indifference. How do I serve? And today is also World Freedom Day. It is a day that is observed annually on November 9th, was established by President George W. Bush in 2001 to commemorate the falling of the Berlin Wall and its subsequent collapse of communist government in Eastern Europe. The day serves as a reminder of the struggle for liberty and the significance of democratic freedoms. During the Cold War, Germany was divided into democratic West Germany and communist East Germany. In 1961, the East German government constructed the Berlin Wall to prevent citizens from fleeing to the West. The barrier stood for 28 years, symbolizing political oppression and division in Europe. On November 9th, 1989, following growing public protests, political reform in the Soviet Union, and increasing pressure for freedom of movement, East German officials announced that the border crossing between the East and the West were open. Crowds of citizens immediately approached the wall, and border guards allowed passage without resistance. People began dismantling sections of the wall, marking a pivotal moment at the end of the Cold War and the eventual reunification of Germany. World Freedom Day carries a powerful reminder. The deepest revolutions don't always begin in palaces and parliaments. Sometimes they start in the human heart, one brave decision at a time. When the Berlin Wall fell, it didn't crumble because some grand machine rolled in with force. It was chipped away, piece by piece, by ordinary citizens, people who had grown tired of separation, people who believed that fear and division were not the final word, people who trusted that, even in a world hardened by ideology, hope could still swing a hammer. There's something sacred in that image. Hands that once felt powerless, suddenly knowing they could shape history. The wall didn't fall in silence. It fell in cheers, tears, and the unmistakable sound of human yearning breaking through concrete. Freedom then was not simply granted, it was claimed. Spiritually, this day invites us to look at the walls inside and around us. Some are visible, systems, borders, injustices. Others are quieter and more personal. Fear, resentment, old wounds, beliefs that tell us that we are separate and alone. And just like Berlin, those walls rarely fall all at once. They come down in small acts of courage, a conversation that heals, a truth spoken kindly, a heart open to someone different, a choice to forgive, and a refusal to hate. And so today we are going to use both of those holidays as a way to ask ourselves the question, where have I erected walls around my heart? Where have I erected walls between myself and other people? Walls of unforgiveness, walls of division or othering, walls of fear. Use these holidays as a time to ask ourselves, where are the places in my own life where I am creating something other than unity and peace? As people who are awake to their own spiritual nature, awake to the I am of our own being, we want to contribute to the good of the world. We don't want our spirituality to be something that we just do on Sunday mornings. Instead, we want to live our spirituality. We want to be able to bring our spirit forward into all that we do and all that we say. We want to be able to bring our spirit to this world. Because we know that when we do that, it acts as healing. When we bring our spirit into the world, it is one of the factors that enables us to create heaven on earth. And because we are living as human beings, living this life here on earth as human beings, and because we discover more and more of our own true nature through our stretching and through our growing, that means then we need to stretch ourselves. We need to grow. We need to unfold ourselves. And when we do that, That's the thing that enables us to remember who we are at our core. And because we know that we are part of this one human family of humanity, we want to live in unity, not in division. We want to live with a sense of peace and well-being. The catch is, as you know, we tend to live so much of our lives from our ego and from our ego's perspective. It's kind of like grooves in a record. We just keep falling back into that groove of looking through the ego's eyes, and we're not even aware of the fact that we're doing it. Unless we consciously pay attention. Unless we consciously choose to live from our own spirit, from our own divine nature, from the spirit that is within us, the I am within us, unless we choose to see through the eyes of oneness. You know, when we are seeing only from our ego's perspective, only through the lens of our 5 senses of being a human being, what happens, it's really easy to get into fear. Fear of others, fear of other people who are different than you, maybe people who are of a different religion or a different ethnicity or a different political affiliation, or people who hold different values, who hold different beliefs than you. It's easy to get into fear around those things. It's easy then to make everything black and white instead of areas of gray, all or nothing. And then we say, I am right and you are wrong, and poof, those walls go right back up. It's easy to get into fear that someone is going to take what is yours, whether it's your money or your freedom or your rights or your security. And when we feel that way, we erect those walls between us and other people. Those walls are often walls of judgment, of fear, of superiority, of division. Ian Cummins, who is a United Methodist minister, said, "We are not made to hold half of our neighbors in contempt. Spiritually, we are not wired to feel hatred and mistrust toward each other. It is toxic to our souls. Beneath that anger is terrible loss." We want to be in relationship with each other. We were created for relationship. I don't mean that God created us and hoped that we would enjoy each other's company. I mean that God made us such that we are not whole and healthy unless we are bounded and bonded in human relationship, and we feel a part of the human family. We need to recognize the sacred worth of another even when we disagree. There's something within us that does not want to live with those walls up. There is something within us that feels so uncomfortable, that is deep in our beingness when we have those walls up, walls of separation, walls of otherness. There's something within us that wants more. Something within us that wants to move beyond those shackles of division and of otherness. And that wants more is the divinity within us. Ernest Holmes, the founder of this philosophy, said, "The latent divinity within us stirs our imagination, and because of its insistent demand, impels and compels our growth. It is back of every invention. It proclaims itself through every creative endeavor, and will, when permitted, create a new world in which war, poverty, sickness, and famine will have disappeared." And so the title of my message today is One Brick at a Time. And I'm talking about that we can use World Freedom Day as an invitation to dismantle any walls that we have erected around our hearts and between ourselves and other people. Walls of separation and judgment, unforgiveness and fear. We can use this day as an invitation so that we move toward unity and peace. That's the place that our spirits long to live in. And so I was reading a blog by Reverend David Alexander this week, who is a minister of Centers for Spiritual Living. And he said, it is common these days to hear people say, quote, Jesus wasn't political. Usually what they mean is don't bring politics into my religion. Jesus was profoundly political. He challenged systems of power, confronted religious hypocrisy, and proclaimed a vision of society rooted in justice, inclusion, and love. Every act of healing, every table at which he sat, every person he touched outside of the bounds of acceptability, these were political acts of defiance and liberation. So our mandate is to give voice to the Christ, to that Christ consciousness, the cosmic Christ, the Christ of our own beingness, our own Christ nature. The Christ within us is that place within us that knows our wholeness. It knows our power. It knows that we are entirely safe and secure all of the time because we live in that eternal presence and because we are eternal beings living in that presence, in that eternal spirit. The Christ within us is the part of us that knows our inseparable oneness with life, with the good itself, with everyone and everything. It is the part of us that is able to love without conditions. It is the I am of our beingness. And so there's a story that says, Simba moved through the quiet night, heart aching for his father, longing for a voice to steady him, a sign to show him who he still was. The world felt too heavy, his purpose too broken. Rafiki appeared out of the shadows, staff in hand, eyes bright with knowing. Come, he said, and led Simba through the tall grass to a still pool glimmering under moonlight. Look down there. Simba leaned over, hoping to glimpse his father, Mufasa. That's not my father. It's just my reflection, he said. Rafiki shook his head gently. Wrong. Look inside yourself. Your father lives in you. Remember who you are and take your place in the circle of life. The water shimmered and Simba looked again. And suddenly, staring back at him were the traits of his father with the image of himself. Strength rose in Simba from somewhere deeper than memory. The courage of his father, yes, but also of his own. Simba turned away from the water, no longer running from his past, but stepping toward his destiny, ready to claim who he was born to be. That which we seek is already inside of us. when that Christ consciousness inside of us leads and guides our choices and our actions in our personal lives, in our political lives, in our public lives, the only possible outcome is an outcome that works for everyone. The only possible outcome is one that works for us, that works for all people, and that works for this planet also. The Christ is the living Spirit personified in us. And so as a way of dismantling those walls that we have erected in our lives, walls of otherness, walls of separation, in your bulletin there is a pink sheet of paper with some questions on it. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and answer these questions. What is one way that I can create greater unity? What is one way that you can create greater unity in this world, in your life, in this country, in your neighborhood? And your second question is, what is one conversation that I can have to create healing? What is one conversation that you can have to create healing? And if you flip your page over, where can I open my heart to someone who is different than me? And your last question, where will I refuse to hate? And the big one, how will I do this? I'm going to share my last one with you because I think that is so important. Where do I refuse to hate and how will I do it? The how will I do it is the answer. And I won't even name the people, but it's people that are making political decisions that I do not agree with. And how will I not hate is to know that they do not have the ultimate power. I have to remind myself of that. They don't have the ultimate power. And so knowing that peace begins inside of ourselves, my invitation to you is to pay attention. Pay attention to where you have erected walls in your life, walls around your own heart, and know that you don't need those walls. You don't need those walls to keep you safe because you're already safe. Know that those walls you erect don't solve anything, and they certainly don't resolve anything. Conversations resolve things. Curiosity and open-mindedness are the things that enable us to take those bricks down out of that wall. Meeting people with an open heart and knowing that they don't have to see things the way that you see them in order to be part of this one human family, that creates healing. That allows you to take that wall down. And know that that Christ consciousness resides within you. Ernest Holmes reminded us it is not something we are evolving from. It is not something we are evolving into. It is something we are evolving from. It's already inside of here. We're just evolving our experience to make that our reality. And so I'd like to close with a poem, One Summer Day by Mary Oliver. Who made the world? Who made the swan and the black bear? Who made the grasshopper? This grasshopper, the one who flung herself out of the grass and who is now eating sugar out of my hand. who is moving her jaws back and forth instead of up and down, who is gazing around with her enormous, complicated eyes. Now she lifts her pale forearm and thoroughly washes her face. Now she snaps her wings open and floats away. I don't know exactly what a prayer is. I do know how to pay attention, how to fall down into the grass, how to kneel down in the grass, how to be idle and blessed, how to stroll through fields, which is what I've been doing all day. Tell me, what else should I have done? Doesn't everything die at last and too soon? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Tell me, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Let's just sit in that for a second. That's the call. And so we move from there into this affirmative prayer, recognizing that yes, indeed, we have been called by that infinite presence, called by our own divine beingness to be the light, to be the love, to be a place of healing, to bring good into the world, and to love profoundly. And so I recognize that there is only one. There is one life, there is one beingness, one power, one presence, that whose center is everywhere and whose circumference is nowhere. That we are living these lives in this presence, walking with this presence, here living this life as this presence. Everything that we could possibly need is already here within us. All of the good, all of the opportunities, all the creativity, the intelligence, the insights, the guidance, the direction, the abundance and opulence of this entire universe and all the good that it is filled with is already at the center of our being, at the center of our lives, and we can never be separate from it. And so today I know that everything that we need is revealing itself to us right now, so that we live lives that are prosperous and peaceful and love-filled and joy-filled. For joy, it is said, is surely showing the presence of God. And so living this life within this presence, we celebrate it all. And so I recognize that this is not just the truth about us, this is the truth about every single person on this planet. Right where they are is this infinite presence, unfolding itself as whatever it is that they need in their lives. That presence fills every heart, it fills every body, it fills every home, every place of work, every government office. That it right now is revealing itself within the hearts and the minds of every single politician, every single world leader, and it is downloading itself in a way that is felt and recognized and that brings nothing but good into this world. And so I know that that light of the divine right now dissipates and dissolves anything that is unlike it, for it is the only power that exists. And so today we place our faith and our trust and our energy and our focus on that. knowing that it is always the truth, it has always been the truth, and will always be the truth. And so it is with a grateful heart for all of this, in my recognition that it is unfolding itself right now, that I invite you to join me in saying, and so it is. So I have a couple of invitations for you as a way to participate in this family and all that we're doing. Just to let you know, if you are participating in the Seas Candy fundraiser, I thank you ahead of time. And the orders need to be returned next week to Rebecca. She's in charge of that. So just to let you know to bring your order forms in. The last Sunday of November, it's Thanksgiving weekend. We are not going to be here because it's the fifth Sunday. We're going to have a forest bathing service at El Dorado Park Nature Center. So put that on your calendar, 10 o'clock instead of being here. I wanted to let you know also that I did some research yesterday. We know that, SNAP is being withheld for a lot of people, and I was going to buy food and take it to a shelter, and I actually read that those shelters can actually do so much more with a cash contribution because they buy food wholesale and they can buy pallets of food. So just to let you know that I had done that research, and it seems like there was something else I was going to say that happened in here. Just to let you know, our Sunday talks are available on our website and on our YouTube channel, and they get posted on Tuesday. We have prayer after service. If you're a practitioner, will you raise your hand? Practitioners are happy to sit down with you and do prayer. We have a ministry of prayer box in the back. You can fill out a prayer request and we will support you during the week. We have prayer shawls that you are welcome to gift to someone or to yourself, someone that wants to be wrapped in that energy of prayer, and the practitioners will pray over the prayer shawl before you take it. And just to follow us on our social media, that's all. So I invite you to repeat after me. Good fills my life now.
Good fills my life now.
I recognize it.
I recognize
I
it.
savor it.
I savor it.
I love it.
I love it.
And I live it.
And I live
And
it.
so it is.